Welcome to the Smart Weight Loss Coaching Podcast. I'm Dr. Lisa Oldson, a board-certified weight loss medicine specialist and certified life coach. In this podcast, I'll share fresh insights and effective techniques for incorporating mindset, habit change, and proven science into your life. Are you ready to achieve sustainable weight loss, wellness, and longevity? Then let's jump in and lose weight the smart way. Welcome back. A woman in my program, let's call her Beth, recently submitted a question about carbs. Her friend told her that if she wanted to lose weight, she needed to eliminate bread, rice, potatoes, and pasta. And Beth wanted to know if there was any amount of these that might be okay to eat, maybe small amounts, because she really enjoys these foods. It's too strong to say that my head exploded when I heard about the advice she's been given. It's more that I was seriously bummed that people are still demonizing carbs when the data is clear that any amount of carbs, a low, moderate, or high carb intake, can be part of a weight loss and healthy way of eating. I'm going to share with you some of the info that I shared with Beth because it might be really freeing to find out that these foods are not forbidden at all when you're interested in losing weight and optimizing your health. Here's the thing about bread, rice, pasta, and potatoes. At some point, all four of them got lumped into one big scary category called carbs, and we started treating them like they're all the same food. White bread, brown rice, a baked potato, a bowl of spaghetti. Same enemy, right? No, not even close. Let's walk you through what the actual research says because some of what we'll cover might surprise you. Let's start with the biggest myth, that carb quantity is the problem. The research is consistent on this. It's not how much carb you eat that drives your risk for weight gain, diabetes, and heart disease nearly as much as the quality of that carbohydrate. Whole grains versus refined, high fiber versus low fiber, how quickly it raises your blood sugar. That's the stuff that actually matters. So let's go food by food, starting with bread. This is where the refined versus whole grain story is the clearest. White bread spikes your blood sugar fast, and higher bread intake is linked to higher fasting blood sugar in people with type 2 diabetes. Whole grain bread, rye bread, sourdough, that's a completely different story. People who eat the most whole grains have about a 20% lower risk of heart disease compared to people who eat the least. Same food category, opposite outcomes, depending on what's actually in your loaf of bread. Be savvy about the ingredient list on your bread. Many years ago, before I got into this field, I used to eat a Pepperidge Farm bread called whole grain oatmeal bread that was brown in color and looked super healthy when I read the front of the package. The current packaging calls out that it has 10 grams of protein, 6 grams of fiber, and 48 grams of whole grains. Based on this, I thought it was a fantastic choice for my health, and maybe you've been fooled like this too. Turns out I was snowed by the marketing on the front of the label. When I flipped it over and read the ingredient list, I learned that it also contained added sugar, almost a teaspoonful per slice, monoglycerides, calcium propionate, sorbic acid, soy lecithin, and datum, which stands for diacetyl tartaric acid esters of mono and diglycerides. That's a synthetic food emulsifier and dough conditioner. Yikes! This is a far cry from the bread I have now, which is either homemade sourdough bread, when I'm lucky enough to have some of my daughter's home-baked bread, or a simple bread with rye flour, yeast, salt, and water. That's it. No preservatives, no ultra-processed ingredients. We know that the ultra-processed ingredients that are present in most grocery store breads are harmful to our health and also make us hungrier, leading to weight gain. It's really hard to lose weight when your bread contains monoglycerides, sugar, and datum. Now here's a fun one. Pasta. Pasta is technically a refined grain made from durum wheat semolina, so you'd think it would behave like white bread. But actually, it doesn't. Because of the way the protein and starch are packed together in pasta, your body digests it much more slowly. Pasta has a low glycemic index, somewhere in the range of 33 to 41, which we don't need to go into, but that's actually lower than a lot of healthy foods you'd never think to question. And in actual clinical trials, when pasta was eaten as part of a low glycemic eating plan, people lost a small amount of weight and body fat, not gained it. There's even a 6-month study where people eating pasta 5 or more times a week lost just as much weight as people eating it 3 times a week or less on the same Mediterranean diet lifestyle plan. Pasta isn't the enemy. I'd argue it's one of the most misunderstood foods in the weight loss world. For those of you who are looking for something potentially even a bit healthier than regular durum wheat semolina pasta, I have another option for you. Many years ago, I was at a medical conference put on by Harvard and the Culinary Institute of America. One of the leading public health experts sitting on a panel was asked if he eats pasta, and I immediately made note of his answer. He mentioned eating Barilla Plus pasta, the one in the yellow box, because it's made from lentil flour and chickpea flour. That was enough to convince me, and I've eaten that ever since. Since then, Barilla Plus has been rebranded as Barilla Protein Plus. It's the same healthy product that has always been higher in protein than other pastas. I should mention, in case you don't know, I never take anything from any food companies whose products I recommend. No payment or perks for my endorsement. I'm just a fan of Barilla Plus, so I like to inform people about it. Okay, let's talk about rice. This is where I want you to pay attention to the difference between varieties, because the type of rice you eat matters. White rice is associated with weight gain and a meaningfully higher risk of type 2 diabetes, especially when you eat it often or in high quantities. But swap in brown rice and that risk drops. One study found that replacing just one daily serving of white rice with brown rice was linked to a 16% lower risk of type 2 diabetes. That's an easy swap, and personally, I like the taste of brown rice better than white rice. It was a quick adjustment to get used to it when I made that switch decades ago. If you want to take it even a step further, black rice, also called forbidden rice, performs even better from a health perspective. Black rice has a lower glycemic index than brown rice, and it's loaded with anthocyanins, the same antioxidants that give blueberries their color and anti-inflammatory properties. It's linked to improvements in blood sugar, cholesterol, and inflammation. If you love rice, black rice is an easy, totally doable swap. I've noticed black rice showing up at restaurants lately, too. By the way, if you're a white rice loyalist, I've got a trick for you in a minute that doesn't require you to switch anything. But first, there's the potato. Poor potato. I think potatoes get the worst reputation of this whole group, and I don't think it's deserved. There was a great little study where researchers fed people matched meals, the same meat sauce, same vegetables, just swapping in rice, pasta, or potato as the carb. Same number of carbohydrate grams in each meal, and the potato meal made people feel significantly fuller and more satisfied and less hungry afterward than either the rice or the pasta meal. That's because potatoes have a lower energy density, meaning more volume and weight for the same number of calories. Your stomach doesn't know about glycemic index, it knows about volume, and the potato won hands down for fullness. Reassuringly, large prospective cohort data suggests that total potato consumption is not associated with increased cardiovascular disease or all-cause mortality. A Norwegian cohort with over 77,000 participants followed for a median of 33 and a half years of follow-up found that consuming greater than or equal to 14 potatoes per week was associated with lower all-cause mortality, lower death rate. A comprehensive meta-analysis of 51 articles found that total potato intake was not associated with hypertension, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, or stroke. However, as you might expect, fried potato intake was significantly associated with increased diabetes risk and is certainly a contributor to the obesity epidemic. Lastly, one more study, the NIH AARP study with over 400,000 participants and over 15 years of follow-up found no association between potato consumption and all-cause cancer, heart disease, or diabetes mortality. Purple potatoes appear to offer the most favorable cardiometabolic profile with human trial evidence for lower blood sugar after meals, lower blood pressure, reduced stiffness of the arteries, and less oxidative DNA damage, all driven by that anthocyanin content. Those are those same anthocyanins that give blueberries their rich color and antioxidant health benefits. Sweet potatoes provide a different advantage due to their lower glycemic index, high beta-carotene content, and modest blood sugar benefits, though the clinical research specifically looking at sweet potatoes is limited. So here's where I land on all 4 of these carb types: potatoes, bread, rice, and pasta. None of them deserve to be on your forbidden list. What matters is which version you're choosing and a little bit about how you prepare and pair them. If you turn your potatoes into French fries or hash browns, they're not doing you any favors, which I'm sure you know. But any of these starchy options can be prepared in a healthy fashion so you can eat them regularly, even if you're working on your weight or focused on improving your cholesterol, blood sugar, or blood pressure. Remember that what you serve with these foods matters too. Bread with bologna, American cheese, and mayo behaves differently in your body compared to whole grain bread with avocado, sliced tomato, onion, and sprouts. Let's take a quick break to hear a word from our sponsor. And when we come back, I'll give you some simple swaps and tricks you can use starting with your very next meal. Ha! Just kidding. It's still me, Dr. Lisa Oldson, physician and founder of Smart Weight Loss Coaching, now rebranded as Weight Loss Strategy Lab. If you've been considering using medications in your weight loss journey, you need a smart medical team with the experience to help. If you're getting meds from your doctor, I hope you'll consider joining our online Weight Loss Strategy Lab course for support. Or for those of you living in Illinois, I hope you'll consider working one-on-one with us. We have a fantastic physician assistant on staff, and she's taking new clients and prescribing weight loss medications. If you'd like to work with an expert with over 20 years of medical experience, reach out to us at team@smartweightlosscoaching.com to make an appointment. Or to learn more about our online class, where I teach during weekly live webinars, head over to smartweightlosscoaching.com. And we're back. So here's how I'd actually put this into practice without overhauling your whole pantry. First, for bread, simply shift toward the whole grain, rye, or sourdough bread most of the time. You don't have to give up bread. You just want the version with more fiber and a slower digestion curve doing most of the work, because whole grain bread actually lowers your risk of type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and all-cause mortality, meaning death. Don't bother avoiding bread. Just swap out the healthy kind, and you're doing yourself and your health a favor. Second, for rice, if you're up to it, try brown or black rice instead of white. If you're not ready to switch or your family won't go along with it, add a splash of vinegar to the meal. I'm serious. Research shows that vinegar added to a starchy meal that includes rice can blunt the blood sugar spike by 25 to 35% just from the acidity slowing down starch digestion. A simple vinaigrette on a side salad or a splash in your stir fry does the trick. Third, for pasta, don't overthink it. The data doesn't show pasta as a problem food when it's part of a reasonable vegetable and protein-containing meal. If anything, I'd spend less mental energy worrying about pasta and more on what's sitting next to it on the plate or in the bowl. If you haven't tried it before, give Barilla Plus protein a try. You might just like it more than regular pasta. I do. Fourth, for potatoes, keep the skin on, since that's where a lot of the fiber lives, and watch your preparation. A baked or roasted potato is a completely different food than a potato that's been deep fried and salted. Watch out for loaded potatoes with butter, ultra-processed sour cream, cheese, or sweet potatoes with added sugar and marshmallow. Stick to a simple potato preparation. Leave the skin on and focus on reasonable portions. That's the move. And fifth, this one applies to all four of those. Eat your vegetables and your protein first before you get to the rice, pasta, bread, or potato on your plate. This is one of my favorite research-backed hacks because it's so easy and it actually works. Studies show that eating vegetables and protein before your carbohydrate can lower your after-meal blood sugar spike by up to 40%. Same meal, same food, just a different order, and your body handles it completely differently. None of this requires you to fear the bread basket or skip the holiday mashed potatoes. It just means choosing the healthy version most of the time, prepping it simply, and putting it in the right order on your plate. This is what I shared with Beth when she raised the concern about bread, rice, pasta, and potatoes. She was pleased to know that with a few simple tweaks, she can continue to enjoy these foods without restriction. We all know that when you make something forbidden, you make it more enticing, and that's certainly true of these foods. Okay, it's NBA time, my friends. Time for your next best action. Here's today's. At your very next meal that includes rice, pasta, bread, or potatoes, just try one thing from today's episode. Add a splash of vinegar to your meal. Eat your veggies and protein first. Reach for the whole grain version instead of the white one. Leave the skin on your potato. Just one small change. You don't have to overhaul everything. You just have to practice one new smart habit, one meal at a time. You've got this. Thanks so much for listening. If you'd like more support during your smart weight loss journey, check out our group coaching program at smartweightlosscoaching.com. Until next time, stay well and stay smart.